and good morning. I'm reading one of the comments on yesterday's video in which it is said, at the end of the video, he said we have the opposites. Why do we need the opposites? Some would say for growth. Why? Why can it not be one in love? Could we not just choose enlightenment? And I promised Mark in my response to that yesterday that I would talk today about pairs of opposites. And that's exactly what I plan to do. Imagine with me for a moment living in a world of total darkness. No light anywhere. Just total darkness. How much would you be able to see? Now, let's do the opposite. Imagine living in a world of total light. The most brilliant, brightest light you can imagine. How much can you see? I've been in caverns in the earth where they turned off the lights and I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I've also tried looking into a bright light. I don't know that I've ever had total light as I've experienced what appears to be pretty much total darkness. But it blinds my eyes looking into total light and I again can't see. Pairs of opposites. The gift of contrast. That's what the Creator has provided within the creation. And I share with you this morning that pairs of opposites are exactly what Creator gave us, so that we could experience contrast and be able to perceive this and that. What we chose to do with the contrast was up to us, but the gift was contrast. The gift was to give us the ability to perceive variety and diversity. There must have been an intent, I would think. As Mark asked the question, some would say for growth. I would say for experience. We've been given the gift of opposites. Opposites exist in pairs throughout our known world, our physical world. Consider for a moment the positive and negative charge that we know as electricity. It is the energy exchange between those opposite charges that enables us to utilize what we know as electricity. Magnetism also has opposites. The opposites attract and the sames repulse each other, repel. The way the whole physical creation has been made is through opposites. Everything that is created through the merging of opposites. And it gives birth to newness, always to newness. It's the way of it. We live in a very sexual cosmos, or at least we live on a very sexual planet, and some might decry that. But every form of life has a form of sexuality, and it's the most spiritual thing you can imagine. It's the interaction of opposites. It's the dance. What has happened with man is we have decided that half of the opposite is good and half of the opposite is bad, and so we created the concept of good and evil. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning of the Bible, since 3 world religions at least trace their mythology and their worldview from that position. A man and a woman in a garden of perfection, able to eat of the tree of life, one tree forbidden. One tree forbidden. That was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil according to our traditional concepts. What happened when they ate of the tree? First of all, it was the woman who ate of the tree, beguiled, as it says, by the serpent. And then she gave to her husband Adam, and he did eat as well. Well, the first thing that happened is when God came to walk with them, Adam scapegoated Eve. It's her fault, God. Yeah, I ate it, but it's her fault. But before they even got to that question, they realized they were naked. And they covered their, according to our traditional idea, perception, they covered their genitals. They were ashamed. We were naked and ashamed. All of a sudden, judgment had entered into the world and conflict. Was that the beginning of duality? Some might ask. No. Man and woman, masculine and feminine, existed before that. Light and dark had been separated before that. The animals had existed before that. All of these things pre-existed. So duality existed before there was ever this idea of conflict, according to the mythology. I'm not saying that's a historical fact. I'm saying it's a mythological fact. It's part of an archetypal reality that's in our psyche. It's in our very soul. And the historicity of it is of little consequence when we understand that the myth itself, has validity and importance in understanding the nature of our lives, the nature of our being even. We became alienated by making a judgment that something is wrong. We separated. Now, it's an allegory. Get it? It's an allegory. Everything in this story is an allegory of something that has deeper meaning. The polarities, the opposites began to attack each other. As I said, Adam scapegoated Eve. It's her fault. And Eve turned around and scapegoated the serpent. It's the serpent's fault. Blame. The blame game was created. The war began. It continues into our lives to the present time. Why? Because they ate of a tree? No, that's an allegory. It's because they began to judge each other. Guilt was born. And what religionists call sin was born. The idea of separate and shame were born in the human psyche, therefore in the human experience. And as I said, it continues to this day. This is a subject that is going to require more than one video, I'm afraid. I just looked at the time and it's already over 10 minutes. And I feel like I've only scratched the surface on why we need opposites. And I'm not going to continue. I'll maybe continue this on another video tomorrow or whatever. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But this is a subject of great importance if we are to wake up and fully realize our potential. We have to stop scapegoating. We have to stop blaming. We have to stop criticizing. We have to learn to work cooperatively. We have to dance with each other. And when I say with each other, I mean different religions, different political ideologies, different nationalities, different cultures need to learn to dance. Because that is our salvation. And it comes when we recognize the divinity within each of us. And each of us recognizes the divinity in what we perceive as the other. There's divinity in the feminine. There's divinity in the masculine. There's divinity in the darkness. There's divinity in the light. There's divinity in everything, because all there is divinity. Everywhere. All it is divine. I will say this. In the first chapter of John, in the Gospel of John, in the Bible, in the New Testament, it talks about, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by Him, and without Him nothing was made that is made. Nothing. So how much did the Christ, and that goes on to identify the Word as Christ, the firstborn of creation. Christ, the firstborn of creation, doesn't need to be masculine or feminine. It's something that was given birth by the divine. And all things were made by, it says Him, but let's look at it as a pair of opposites. All things were made by them, and without them nothing was made that is made. Nothing. All creation flowed from the created as they danced together, as they made love, if you will. All creation came from that. The opposites, the gift of contrast. It's a wonderful thing that we have been given. It's time that we begin to understand it and allow the dance and allow enlightenment, that we need the dark as well as the light. We need the negative as well as the positive. We need all the pairs of opposites to be whole. Take a coin, give me the head, keep the tails. You say you can't. Well, of course not. Because they're inseparable pairs of opposites. Just like the yin-yang symbol. In the darkness, there is light. In the light, there is darkness. And they merge, side by side, doing their dance. It's the gift of contrast. Everything is contained within everything else. And the yin-yang symbol is a pictograph of the reality of life. It's the way creation works. There is no more creation, and I say to you, there is no more life without that. Learn to dance. Learn to love. The way home is the way of the heart, and it's the only way home. It's the way of love. It's the way we've been given. Use your wisdom and know that way. And bless you. Namaste.